said to Moses, tell the people. God said to Moses, tell the world the right way to act, the kind way to give, the right way to think about how to live. And you shall be holy, for I am holy. You shall be holy, I am your God. It's not for a reward, it's not the price of heaven. I created you to be like me, to make a better world. You shall be holy, for I am holy. And you shall be holy, I am your God. Kedoshim Tihiyu, Ki Kadosh Ni Adonai Elohechem. And you shall be holy, for I am holy. You shall be holy, I am your God.
And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Life has a meaning, and God is in this place. The commandment to be holy can be found in your neighbor's face.
And you shall be holy, for I am holy. You shall be holy, I am your God. And you shall be holy, for I am holy. And you shall be holy, I am your God.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la ya la 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 la. Ya 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 la ya la ya la 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 la. Mitzvah gereret mitzvah. Havara gereret avera. Hayya mitzvah gereret mitzvah. Gereret mitzvah. Ya la 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 la. Lihiyot tzadik. Lihiyot tzadik. Zetov. Zeh what? Zetov. Lihiyot tzadik. Zetov me'od mitzvah gereret mitzvah. Havera gereret avera. Mitzvah gereret mitzvah. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. From my dear colleague, Andrew Vogel, Rabbi Vogel, a riff on Pirkei Avot, chapter 4, verse 2. One performed mitzvah leads to another, and unfortunately, one sin leads to another. But lihiyot tzaddik, zetov, to be righteous, to be just, is very good. And so, Chevre, hello. Cantor Friedman, nice to see you.
Shabbat Shalom,
Welcome.
Rabbi.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Leah Jones, our president and tech captain. Good to see you. Susan and Charles, how are you? Shabbat Shalom. Pleased to have you. Mickey and Roberta, how are you tonight?
Good.
Glad to see
Shabbat
you as
Shalom.
well. Thank you much. We're really so honored to have you here as we think of the following virtue and the following virtuous people. Hear me out for a second. Borrowing from my bulletin article today, bears repeating, because Chevre, we are a legacy institution, a legacy congregation, and as such, we understand the power of a virtue we call Lador Vador, from generation to generation, intergenerational connection. And for 141 years, our dear Emmanuel has practiced this sacred intergenerationality and reminded us just how resilient we have been because of it. Lador Vador is in our communal DNA, and it makes up our collective identity as a congregation. And here's what's really important about that, especially tonight. One powerful outcome, and I think the Schaalman family will understand this implicitly. One powerful outcome of Lador Vador is just how beloved Herman and Lotte Schaalman remain in our hearts. We first met Herman and Lotte in 1956, I think, when Rabbi Schaalman succeeded Rabbi Levi. And Herman and Lotte made an amazing difference over the decades and still managed to do so. Really an incredible blessing. Now, even though they've passed away in recent years, after living very long lives, both of them, and of course we miss them terribly, we know that their legacy still burn brightly in our hearts. I don't have to convince you, their children, or their grandchildren, or great-grandchildren even, but I just want you to know how precious it is for us to have this moment with you and to bear witness and to say, thank God for Herman and Lotte. So again, Mickey and Roberta, Susan and Charles, your children, if they're on in some shape, way, or form, your great-grandchildren, if they're on some shape, way, or form, We are so delighted to have you on this beautiful Erev Shabbat, in which we honor and bless the memories of your dear parents, your dear grandparents, your dear great-grandparents, and our beloved community members and leaders, because that's what they were, part of our community, and we're leaders, both. So thank you for the opportunity. Cantor, I think we should continue. Oh, I do have one more thing to say. Switching gears slightly, I think it's really important for us to take a moment during this Shabbat, during a very important week. It's a week that there was a singular act of justice that we hope will be repeated over and over again, because just like our Torah says, tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice we shall pursue. Why is there repetition? Well, because true justice requires repetition. One act of justice, no matter how precious and overdue, is one act of precious and overdue justice. We need more acts of such justice, even if it's overdue. We're not going to quibble about that as long as it's achieved. So we stay in the fight, and we follow the inspiration of Alden Solovey in a new poem of his from This Precious Life called To Battle Injustice. And this we dedicate to George Floyd and his family and the jury who rendered justice, and all those who will pursue justice and stay in the fight for racial justice, anti-racism, proper and moral policing, whatever and wherever justice is needed. Happy are the ones who battle injustice, for whom the world sings praises. Happy are the ones who stand united, their voices become a trumpet of truth. A psalm of protest, admonish the ruler who misuses power, beset an evil government with judgment. Call the people to the streets, dispatch the brave and the free in the cries of protest. Entreat the spirit of mercy, forge a sword of truth. Grievance is your staff, and honesty is your shield. Injustice will shatter like pounded rock. Joy and hope will sprout roots in its place. Keep yourself true, let neither anger nor vengeance become your cause. Make not an ally of violence, nor friend of hatred. Open your heart to all, protect the innocent, quiet the hearts of the victims, restore kindness to our nation. Speak out. Speak out. Tomorrow, rise to speak out again until all of us are free from tyranny. Voices raised with power and purpose. Your feet, my feet, our feet, marching, praising, defending with zeal the zest of creation. Happy are the ones who battle injustice, for their hearts will be sanctified in heaven and remembered on earth. Amen ve'amen. Now, Cantor, we need to put some light into our Shabbat experience.
Just as Rabbi Mrs. Schaalman brought such amazing light into the Emmanuel community because they saw the divine spark in everyone. Everyone they came into contact with. So too do we bring light into our homes. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. We invite you to rise physically or spiritually as we continue with Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'asei v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim.
Amen. Sweet Shabbat, one full of light, light of goodness, the light of justice, light of healing.
Rabbi, it said that people ran into the fields in order that the Kabbalists might meet the Shabbat bride. Isn't that a beautiful idea? That we can bring her towards us, maybe not by running into any field, but by singing and welcoming her in every face we see. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, panei Shabbat nekabela.
What a lovely image. I'm proud to tell you, Cantor and everybody, that thank goodness, the efforts of the Reform movement to get our Reform children, two of which belong to our community, Isaac Simon and Jared Morantz, are now at Heller High School in Kibbutz Suba in Israel. It's only about 4 months after they were supposed to start, but you know, who's quibbling, right? Thank God they're there, and they will have an experience in Tzfat where they will see where these Kabbalists approach the hillside and the Sabbath bride. I'm really grateful for that image and the good feelings of our kids, two of our kids being there in Israel with a great class and a great experience. So happy to be part of the Reform movement. Happy to be a Jew. Happy that's Shabbat. All right, what's next? Chavre, we rise in body and or spirit and call ourselves into full worship. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Amevohu Rach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. Continue with the Shema.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavecha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodeha vehayu hadivarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishnantam levanecha v'dibarta ba'am b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot ben enecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Chavre, as we think about our pursuit of justice day in and day out, our repeatable efforts of justice and our continued repeatable achievements, we hope, we need to get a rest. We need to sleep at night protected by God's grace and support and protection, because we want to wake up the following day, take a deep breath, the breath of life, know that we can raise ourselves up with God's support to a life renewed and to go out into the world and make a big difference. A world that still needs multiple acts of justice constantly, not just one precious one, but many of them. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrenu l'chayim. Frosalenu sukat shlomecha, Frosalenu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 And for good measure, we'll sing our freedom song, our redemption song, our liberation song, because thank God we're free to go out there and fight for justice. But one thing is clear, right? Until all human beings, regardless of the color of one's skin, regardless of how one identifies this way or that way, all of us, human beings created in God's image, must exercise our freedom in the practice of repeatable justice. So, micha mocha. Micha mocha, Bailim Adonai. Micha mocha, Neda Bakodesh, Noora Dehilo, Osef Elem, Noora Dehilo, Osef Elem. Won't you help me sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, these songs of freedom. Let's do it one more time. Micha mocha, Bailim Adonai. Micha mocha, Neda Bakodesh, Noora Dehilo, Osef Elem, Noora Dehilo, Osef Elem. Won't you help me sing? Won't you help me sing these songs of freedom? It's all we ever had, redemption songs, these songs of freedom, redemption songs.
We invite you to rise physically or spiritually as we rise in all things holy for the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Ve'Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei HaHakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש, ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהלוך, סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Rabbi, let's take a moment for silent meditation, in which you can explore the depth of your heart, your souls, your spirits, and enjoy, relish, ponder, be challenged by all the powerful prayers there.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasi leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasi leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon לכל השלום, כי אתה המלך אדון Shalom, Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Kol Kavod, Cantor Friedman. As always, Yashar Kochach, from strength to strength. Is this beautiful picture the beginning of our Torah service? Oh, I was hoping to see like many more slides, like a whole show.
As Herman and Lotte's children will tell you, it's hard to find shots with Lotte in them. She was always no, and would turn the camera to Herman, and so when you caught her, it was like gold.
Well, there you go. A golden photo. Two golden souls. So, Chevre, today I had a very interesting conversation with one of my conversion students. And they asked me about the ancient priests, the ancient Kohanim. Well, what exactly did they do? How'd they stay busy? Well, as you know, it's a lot about speculation, a little archaeology. But I said to my student, well, the priests did the sacrifices. And doing the sacrifices, they brought people closer to God. That was their job, to draw people near to the Holy One of Blessing, because we are holy, just like God is holy. And that is the essence of our Parshat HaShavua today, Kedoshim. So as many of you know, Parshat Kedoshim was and remains Rabbi Schaalman's bar mitzvah portion. And in case you don't remember, it's about us being holy because God is holy. And so I got to thinking, what would such holiness mean during a week like this? A week in which such an important verdict was decided, such an important act of justice. And then I started wandering, my mind started wandering. And I thought about our windowed chapel at 5959 North Sheridan. Such a beautiful and contemplative space. And I thought about how Rabbi Schaalman once said that with the beautiful windows in place, we might have to look outside more. Rabbi Schaalman looked outside plenty during his life, Lotte too. But what does it mean to look outside more at a time like this? In a sense, to be holy is to look outside in the world and to recognize how many mitzvahs still need to be done to secure justice. And not just the pursuit of justice, but the pursuit so present in Parshat Kedoshim, like love your neighbor as yourself, or you shall not hate your sibling in your heart, or you shall not stand idly by while your neighbor bleeds, or is suffocated and can't breathe. Of course, Kedoshim is part of a double portion beginning with Achrei Mot. And so let us count this moment of celebration of Herman and Lotte's legacy as a double portion of joy. And may we remember that this pursuit of holiness is in its own way a pursuit of justice, and it's a pursuit of love, and it's a pursuit of refraining from hate, and it's a pursuit of action, never standing idly by while injustice takes place. It means making sure that justice and holiness are both repeatable over and over again. Shabbat Shalom. Let us continue with the rest of our service.
Rabbi, how lucky we are to have Susan Schaalman, Yudavin, and Michael and Roberta Schaalman, and Charlie. I'm so sorry I didn't say Charlie. Charlie is here, for goodness sakes. Anyway, we're so grateful that you're here and that you will be doing Torah honors. And so we will get to it. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adondeinu, Kadosh Shemo. Mickey and Roberta.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hoamim, V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. I'm so glad to be able to do this Torah portion, to read it in honor and memory of my dad. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, and God spoke to Moses, saying, Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael, v'amarta alehem. Speak to the entire community of the children of Israel, and this is what you should say to them. Kedoshim tihiyu, you shall be holy. Ki kadosh ani Adonai, because I, Adonai, am holy. Oh, I got that wrong. Ki kadosh ani Adonai Elohechem, because I am holy, I am the Lord your God. Ishimo ve'aviv tira'u, a man, each person shall respect his mother and his father. Ve'et shabtotai tishmoru, and observe and guard the Sabbaths. Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am Adonai your God. Al tifnu el ha'elilim, do not turn toward idols. Ve'elohei masecha lo ta'asu lachem, and do not make molded gods for yourselves. Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am Adonai your God. V'chi tizbechu zevach shlamim l'Adonai, and if you make a sacrifice of well-being to God, l'rtzonchem tizbechuhu, and if you do this sacrifice, do it the right way. Do it the right way. Bayom zivchehem yeachel umimocharat. On the day of the sacrifice, you can eat it as well as on the next day. V'hanotar ad yom hashlishi ba'esh yisaref. But on the third day, you have to burn it in the fire. V'im he'achol ye'achel bayom hashlishi. But if you eat it on the third day, pigulhu, it's something awful. Lo yeratzeh, and your sacrifice will not be accepted. Ve'ochlav avono yisa, and the one who ate it is in big trouble. It's a sin. upon him. Ki et kadosh Adonai chilel, because he has profaned God's holiness. V'nichrta nefesh hahi me'ameha, and that soul or that individual will be cut off from his kinfolk. Uvkutzrechem et katzir artzechem, and when you reap the harvest of your land, lo tichalev pe'atzadcha liktzor, do not completely harvest the edges or the corners of your field. V'leket katzircha lo tilaket, and don't go back and really carefully pick up all the little edges and parts of the harvest. V'charmcha lo teolel, and this is about the same thing. And don't pick your vineyard bare. Uferet charmcha lo tilaket, and if there's any fruit that drops onto the ground, do not glean that. Lo ani v'lager ta'azovotam, for the poor and the stranger, leave them. Ani Adonai Elohechem, I am Adonai, your God.
Kol hakavod.
Toda.
Kol hakavod.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Kol hakavod, everyone. Everyone, you did great. Thank you so much. Kol hakavod.
I'm grateful to my colleagues, Rabbi Marantz and Cantor Friedman, for the opportunity to comment in connection with the celebration, commemoration of Rabbi Herman Schaalman's bar mitzvah Torah portion, and as well his birth date. To do so, I first need to indicate that using this form because, alas, my own schedule meant I was out of the city this week and unable to participate other than by this recorded message. Second, it is invaluable to remember, for those of us who had the great privilege of knowing Rabbi Schaalman directly, personally, some of the amazing qualities that were distinguishing of the man. Most especially in the context of trying to say something about him is the effort on my part to try to avoid any use of or a pause in that fashion. For those of you who have heard him speak, know that in addition to never having a written text in front of him, he spoke as though it was already formed fully, and it was, in his mind, and it came out through exquisite use of language. He was a master in so many ways. But more important than that exquisite context to remembering, there are other elements that are outstanding. Among them, I especially appreciated, and I think others benefited, from his untiring willingness to encourage others to pursue their vision, their dreams, their concerns, and most especially their questions, because there was nothing quite like his tilt of the head and that mischievous smile when someone not so much offered a new idea, but offered a new and challenging and reflective question, one for which there might well be no easy answer, but elicited a variety of responses. He was always pushing boundaries, as many of you know. In fact, he defied the cliches that we associate with aging, of more time spent looking backwards at how things used to be as opposed to how things ought to become. He never tired of that pursuit of being certain that there was uncertainty at the heart of our experience, and what might we do to get closer and closer to both the recognition of what that meant and the possibilities of pushing the boundaries further to maybe get a little closer to conviction. Maybe it's also important, not maybe, it is definitively important to comment on the devotion between Lotte, his beloved wife of, 73 plus years, and him. They were an amazing couple, utterly remarkable in their support of each other and in their willingness to engage with others. Their home was an open venue for any and all persons to encounter two remarkable human beings. I'm very much aware that Rabbi Schaalman would often provide me the latest science stuff. Sometimes I couldn't understand it at all, but quantum physics, anything that pushed boundaries, anything that pursued the notion of how we might know more, even as it would lead to further questions, that was a métier that he loved to spend time in. And he loved the notion of how science would comport with the religious imagination's questions of what does it mean? What is it for? What can we know? How can we know it? What must we do? His company was always sought by so many. His realism was noteworthy, but most especially I will cherish his joy, his affection, his love of learning, and his love of the Jewish people. And one must indicate that that never was the boundary at which it all stopped. For we're also talking about, in the nature of Rabbi Herman Schaalman, an individual who was a genuine pioneer, a true boundary crosser, a bridge builder in the world of interfaith relations. We owe so much to him. His legacy is rich and inspiring, and I don't have enough words to continue to reflect on how grateful I am that I had the privilege of having him as part of my life and that he is part of my continuing journey to this day. Thank you, Shabbat Shalom, and God bless.
Shabbat Shalom. Amen, Rabbi Zedek. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful for this time we've got to be together in order to just take not near enough time to remember two people who so greatly shaped my life. And I'm not alone. And what I'm especially cognizant of as a parent is how you shared him so gracefully, right? I'm sure it was very hard, especially at Emmanuel, to get even a moment with your parents, because everyone wanted to be with them. And I'm also grateful that because Lotte cleared the runway, Herman could fly. I think that so much, absolutely rightly so, was made of the amazing and magnificent intellect of Herman. But if it weren't for Lotte running alongside the plane and lifting it up, I don't think Herman could be. And so I am grateful for the way they modeled and for the scant short time I could be with them. How I wish it were more. It never seems to be enough. Anyway, I'm so very grateful to you both for your times of sharing, not just today.
Kol hakavod, Cantor. Shar kochach to you. You know, there are moments where I'm convinced that as an organization, as a synagogue, as a legacy institution, we miss Lotte's quiet and steady and audaciously hospitable reality as much as we miss the great Rabbi Schaalman's depth and brilliance, which was beautiful because, as Rabbi Zedek said, just invited so much curiosity. So there was a humility in that, very rich. To be sure, we are a learning institution, but we are also one that's hospitable, and I think we owe immeasurable debts to both we are not Emmanuel without both Rabbi Schaalman and Mrs. Schaalman. So what a powerful evening thus far. We have more to do, Cantor.
Rabbi, it's time
Not
for
much more to do, but just a few more things.
it's time for our Misha Berach.
Okay, so let us turn our hearts to those in need of refuah shlema, renewal of body and spirit, and let us pray that they will find the strength to carry through whatever illness besets them, and at the very, very least, be able to summon the spirit of wholeness that I think can be summoned no matter what. That's one thing I believe, amidst all the uncertainty, I think we can always achieve that. Hopefully body too, but for sure the spirit. So that said, friends, Aviva Eliza, Laura Keena Aronson, Bethany Barrett, Elena Riley Bergman, Barbara Berman, Harvey Boulder, Lois Bonsignore, Joan Bransfield, David Burchett, Fega Sorabat Chaya, Carol Cohen, Lincoln Davis, Bob Eisenberg, Francine Fields, Debbie Frank, Eslyn Garb, Phyllis Goldblatt, Don Grandolfo, Mimi Harris, Toby Hartman, Ellen Hyman, Harold Katz, Jeffrey Krause, Anne-Marie Kuleza, Robert Langfelder, Monroe Levine, Roy Lloyd, Miriam Lyon, Gerald Marks, Jimmy Miller, and Deborah Miller, Sharon Montesi Garska, Nikki Moulton, Moshe Ben Chava Venatan, Nicole Newcomb, Amber Noy, Don Olson, Mark Perlman, Gary Prees, Rodney Qualls, Rich Reisman, David Rosenthal, Arthur Rousseau, Alan Sager, Sam Sagi, Casey Ciengo, Kristen Rouse Skinner, Simone Sofian, Tali Stein, Caden Swan, Michael Van Buren, Virginia Wharton, Nachum Feivel, Ben Gedayu Masha, Jacob Blake, Stephen Reese, and who else can we think of for Refuah Shlema?
Additional names from our congregation include Marcia Bren, Larry Silverman, Norma Goldberg, Xander Schnitzer, Terry and Stuart Epstein, Gregory Sklavos, Phil Goldstucker, Kate Arkin, Kate Brissett, Margaret Frost, Becky Hanscom, Vivian Green, Jackie Steinbold, Bella Eisenstadt, Mindy Jordan, Janice Leah Sikowski, Janet Ferguson, Will Miller, Amy Ellis, Al McGowan, Caden Swan, Bob Wodnowski, Irene Noparstak, Devorah Heyman, and Stephen Kimmel. I'll ask our guests with us tonight, if you have additional names, you're welcome to unmute and add at this time or share them in your heart.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Refuah Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We continue with the conclusion of our service, Cantor.
I invite you to rise physically or spiritually. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו כהמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר וחיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Strikes me as so fitting from a Jewish perspective that we would honor Rabbi Schaalman on his birthday, but also have to say Kaddish for him. And that we would take time to celebrate the legacy of Herman and Lotte Schaalman and the powerful and resilient community that they built up. We're all in their debt, and that makes us smile. And yet, having to say the Kaddish reminds us that they passed away. And so the twinkle in our eyes is mingled with tears. And so we take into account that mixture of emotions, so powerful, so rich, so inspiring. I offer this. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as they live, we too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. Cantor, will you help us mark this moment of mourning by reading the names of those we remember? Oh, how lovely. Another golden photo. Maybe this one's a platinum.
It'd be a privilege to remember the following: Samuel Adler, Anna C. Bloom, Luba Bracer, Esther Brown, Hannah Doppelt, Kay Morris Fagan, Opal Floyd, Sidney Friedlander, Rose Gold, Esther Goodman, Bronya Grunwald, Roy Jacoby, Albert J. Miller, Isaac Miller, Malka Pat, Eugene Russell, Tatiana Shulkina, Michael Schwartzman, Lenore Myra Simmons, Avram Skalyansky, Lester L. Solomon, Alfred Sternthal, Maria Slavinskaya, Abraham Wellens, Leon Versch, Bessie Zuckerman, and in recent days, Lois Diane Chansky Wasserman, Irving Sonny Weiner, Norman Siselsky, Adam Toledo, Dante Wright, Makia Bryant, and those who perished in yet another shooting. Amajit Sekhon, Jasvinder Kaur, Amajit Kaur Johal, Jaswinder Singh, Samaria Blackwell, Carly Smith, Matthew R. Alexander, and John Steve Wessert. And of course, our beloved Herman and Lotte Schaalman. The memories of all of them are with us as we continue with Kaddish Yatom.
We have a few additional names from our congregation.
Thank you.
Jim Steinman, Alma Wahlberg, Leslie McKeon, Terrence Clark, Carolyn Migliorino, Krista Ronay, Ronald Euman, and Mark Green.
Zichronam lebracha. May the memories of these souls be for a blessing as we rise in body or spirit, or as is customary, your choice. And we recite these precious and sacred and enduring words of our legacy, the Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. B'agala v'zman kariv ve'emeru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Tamiran me'alma v'emeru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba midshemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'emeru. Amen. Se shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'emeru. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens bring peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. We say, Amen.
All right, Rabbi, we have a few announcements. And
Cantor, I think you're going to tell us just how busy we are at Emmanuel. We got a lot of stuff.
Isn't it great? It's
I'm
wonderful.
getting tired out, Cantor. So much stuff to do. But listen, no, there's never too much stuff to do. And we are definitely pursuing that virtue.
Oh, for sure. So if you go to 5959chicago.com, you will see what is absolutely miraculous. And Rabbi, so much of your vision, just to see it come to fruition, is quite extraordinary. 2 authors and ideas, Deborah Douglas and Michelle, am I going to say this right? Walker? As a drucker, I'm going to pretend it's Walker. Anyway, illustrious authors. And books, of course, can be read, ideas exchanged. Thank you to Amy Guth for making it all happen. The dream is real. And that's not all. That isn't all we have, right? So the last of the 3-part series, Admitting Our Mortality, Accepting Mortality, Dealing with Grief, Tuesday, April 27th at 7. Havdalah before Rosh Chodesh, which is, we've got about a couple more weeks, I think, but coming nonetheless. Tikkun Olam Book Club, How to Be an Anti-Racist. If you saw Rabbi's sermon at, was it Rosh Hashanah, Rabbi?
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur, you'll know about this book already. But come to the book club, it's amazing. And Women and Wisdom, we have another one coming up on May the 11th, The Gift of Giving. Glad to be able to be with Heather Waslu for those. And another discussion with Rabbi Joseph Edelheit. On May the 17th, I engage Jewish values in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That's beginning on the 20th. And my Melton class, still going strong, as well as, of course, the important, they're all important, right? A blood drive, Pekuach HaNefesh, save a life, save the whole world, Sunday, June the 20th. Rabbi, any other announcements?
I don't know.
We will be
I'm
heading
speechless.
to a
Please, Leah.
we will be heading to a Zoom oneg that congregant Jessica Schomburg is hosting for us. So I'm going to share that link in the YouTube chat so people can join us. And so if you are listening to my voice, look in the chat for that invitation.
Nice. Nice.
President, could you also put it in this chat in case there are Schaalmans who want to come as well?
I will indeed.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I'm so glad you said, I knew there was something. So thank you, Leah Jones.
Yay. Sounds good. I think we're ready for a close. So yesterday, I had the opportunity to go to North Shore Baptist Church. We had a vigil after the Chauvin verdict came through and justice in the case of George Floyd was served. Although I say that knowing that justice doesn't bring him back. But knowing the difficult fact of his demise, the idea that we made some progress this week as a community in the service of justice is powerful. And when I got a chance to talk, I started with Ani ve'ata. Ani ve'ata nishaneh et ha'olam. You and I change the world. You and I, and then all will join us. And as the song goes on, you and I will start from the beginning. It may be difficult, but it's not so terrible. At least it's not so terrible that we shouldn't do something about the pursuit of justice. And so we thank Mickey Gavrilov for the music, and of course Arik Einstein of blessed memory for the text. Ani ve'ata nishaneh et ha'olam. Ani ve'ata אז יבוא וכבר כולם אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה ננסה מההתחלה. יהיה לנו רע, אין דבר זה לא נורא. אמרו את זה קודם, לפניי זה לא משנה. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. אני ואתה נשנה את העולם. Well, to be sure, Herman and Lotte changed the world together. Let us bless. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May the Eternal bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'hunecha.
May God smile upon you and be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha. Shalom.
May God lift your face, that God might shine in you, shine through you, and may you reflect that light. That way, you will feel a wholeness and a peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Ken Yehi Ratzon. May it be God's will and may it be our will. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Charlie, Susie, Mickey, Roberta.
Thanks all.